Ah, El Gato. And for me, it's running at 144p. So for me, it's coming in at 144. I know, that's what's on my computer. I give up. My computer's I'm just not. But hello. I'm sure it's just me, probably. Well, thank you. Oh, it
I'm
just
muted.
cleaned up.
There we go. No,
It just cleaned up.
My microphone was muted. All right, it just cleaned up. It's good.
It's gotta be me. It's gotta be me. Okay.
Yeah. It was muted. It was muted. Technical difficulties. OBS was being a dick and kicking us off every couple of seconds and shit. So, just had to restart the computer because the computer's been running all day. So, which shouldn't be a thing. Like, you shouldn't have to restart your computer because your computer's been running all day. But I guess as your hardware gets older, it kind of is a thing. And I swear to God, if my camera blurs my face out again, I'm going to smash the fucking thing.
Well, then it doesn't work at all. It'll be very, very blurry. OBS is open broadcast, by the way. That's how you stream.
Yep, that's how we stream. We use OBS, Open Broadcast Software. Right, the S.
Do not ever use the Streamlabs version if you ever stream, because they're assholes.
Yeah, no, and their shit sucks.
Well, that was an intro.
We're always in podcast form, just live. And yes, I know, I forgot to upload last week's episode. I'm sorry. I have it recorded. As I'm recording this one, I will upload both of them as soon as we're done. No editing.
Okay.
Look, hey, at least I have been true to my word up to this point. On Monday, there was a reading video. On Wednesday, there was a video on ritual work. Today, I just haven't had the opportunity to record a video reacting to some dumbass talking shit about the occult yet. All right. If you guys have any suggestions of who I should react to, apart from Melinda, then let me know. Okay. And I will happily do so. Okay. Well, it should be on Google Podcasts. It should be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, along with like 8 other platforms like nobody really gives a shit about. Well, because I know you guys love it when I react to her shit. And I mean, obviously, there's no shortage of shit to react to. I mean, I can, go in and start reacting to some Melinda shit. It's been a while, and it's no longer, last frontier medium, right? It's no longer LFM. Mm-hmm. So, now maybe, I said I would never react to LFM again. I'm technically not lying.
Jesus. Fail.
So
I don't know if I could handle a live. It makes me so angry so quickly.
It does me too, which is why I think it's so good to react to, because but you guys will get another Melinda reaction. Don't worry, because I know you guys enjoy it, and it's been a while since I've started fucking with her, and people started dropping in her comments. Did you know Mr. Malice reacted to you again?
Next, she's going to be Melinda, the good witch from the West.
Right?
Instead of Galinda. It's right? Not Galinda.
Say, right. Drop your house on me. Drop your house on me.
Too good. I don't want to damage my house.
It is painful, but I make it tolerable. So, yeah.
Oh, it's been a
So
week.
yeah, it has been a week. How has your week been? When exactly is your birthday? Like your birthday? Is it today?
Tuesday, last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday. God damn it, I missed it. So there
Hmm.
you go, people. Last Tuesday
I'm further into my 40s.
was Mystic's birthday. There you go.
It was Hurricane Day, yes.
How about we get some super chats to say happy birthday?
Don't try to
Maybe not.
capitalize on my birthday.
I'm definitely trying to capitalize on your birthday.
Yeah, I would too, actually, now that you're saying it. Yeah, we didn't really do anything. Obviously, we kind of reserved it. We were going to go on a bike ride. When I say bike ride, motorcycle ride today, but we decided not to. We're going to do that tomorrow. We're going to get up early tomorrow morning, like 6:30, and go for an early morning motorcycle ride because I miss it. And I did some work on mine. I put a new exhaust on, this new clutch, new brake levers. I'll play
Nice.
around.
You know, for some reason, every time you say you go for a bike ride, I just picture you on a tricycle with a giant lollipop for some reason.
That's terrible.
Like, that's what I see in my head. But you, as you, on like a bright red tricycle with like this giant fucking lollipop.
I mean, I could see Brad maybe.
I can see that too. But I can see him with
Well, he
pigtails.
has a bright red scooter, and I have an actual motorcycle. I'm just saying.
There you go. I mean, I could also see him like you. I just see you as you. Him, for some reason, I see him with pigtails doing it.
No.
Not that I know where. Not that I know
streamers
where
on the
he would get
handlebars.
pigtails
That's
from,
better.
but
Probably
streamers
because
on the
he's
handle-
obsessed with Britney Spears. Mind your business, bitch.
Wow,
I
I'm
hate
just
that
like
song.
the things that I have in my head right now. I don't know if I should have in my head.
Like, I like the spoof songs, like "Lick My Baby Back Behind." That's a good one.
Like, wow.
You've never heard that one? It's Nicole Sullivan as Britney Spears on Mad TV,
Oh, really? No, I've never heard of it.
and what's her name? Collins doing "Wash Me," a spoof of Alanis Morissette. Oh, it's so funny. Lick my baby back behind. Sorry. Stop. Hit me one more time. That sounds fun. What was I gonna say? Oh, my brain has been very like crazy because week before last we were on hybrid vacation doing my dad's service, and then having a few days off and relaxing, and then a couple of days of work were crazy, and then this whole week has been absolutely insane. So I am still off, and by Friday nights I'm always off, like sideways, crooked. But I am enjoying this really good one of our first meads that we made. Look how beautiful and clear that is.
It looks like piss, so I don't know.
It does not. If your piss looks like that, let me just say there's some cloudiness in there, and you need to drink some water. Seriously. Thank you, Sad World, and Aaron and everybody. It has been a weird week energetically for sure.
There you go. There you go, DA. Awesome. DA, haven't you been following the channel have subscribed to the channel for like forever? Because I was going through the analytics the other day and it said like you resubscribed in fucking like August or some shit. Like, did you like did we do something to make you angry and you hated us for a little while? Is that what happened?
Super Blue Moon was Wednesday too. Yes, it was beautiful. Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, and I've seen DA's been around for a minute. I've seen it. We when we were trying to do what's the Discord alternative? Gilded. We tried to get that moving too. Which,
Yeah,
by the
but
way,
nobody.
Gilded is a much better platform, but nobody would do it. So whatever.
Yeah, Gilded is a lot better platform, but nobody wants to use the Gilded silver.
And they
Nobody
have an
wants
app
to
now
be.
too.
And because Discord is like the norm, um, you know, yeah, getting people over on Guild is just a pain in the ass because people that are already on Discord, you have to get them to move over to Guilded just for one server. One server. And then people that don't use anything, you have to try to explain how to use Guilded. And Guilded is a bit more complicated than Discord is if you've never used something like that before.
Engaging.
Right? Because like each server has like mini servers inside of it, which is what I like about it.
Yeah.
Right? But you know, it is what it is. So Gilded, we just stopped talking about it. Like unfortunately, you know, Discord has a stranglehold on the market. You know what I mean? So what big decks do you have for us today, good sir?
Well, I always have a big deck with me near the table, but for tonight, for the group that I'm willing to share, it's a little different. I'm gonna light my incense here first.
Okay.
Just open up and say, Amen.
He's lighting his little stick so he can pull out his big deck.
Sorry. Just kidding. I have a neat deck tonight, actually, and it's called the Corrupted Tarot.
Okay.
I've had it for quite a while. I've never used it on stream. It is very pretty. It's limited though in kind of what is available for me to show. Like the box is just all black, and this is the book that comes with it. I actually do like this book because it's got full, really pretty full.
It's
Images.
got pretty pubes, everybody. It's got pretty
Yes,
pubes.
it's got pretty pubes, pretty pictures. And I think everybody's gonna like this deck because this deck it's a full deck, but it is created by 70 different artists. So each card is different by a different artist for the most part. There's a couple that are artists did 2 or 3. But yeah, so it's 70 different artists doing the imagery on these, and so that's, to me, there's just something about that makes it really neat. Yet they still were able to have them all really nicely connected. And the other thing is, the reason it's the Corrupted Tarot is because the artists were given the card and the traditional meaning and asked to create the image on the meaning to be what it would be if it was reversed. So and that was to give it a corrupted nature, to give it a much darker tone, and it definitely does that. And so this is probably one of the better decks. Malice Adius, I got to get that right too. But I think you're going to really like this one. I think a lot of people in here are going to really like this deck and probably want it for some of this imagery that it is. I will say I'm not a fan of the card stock. It's the glossy back. It's the glossy back. I am not a huge fan.
But that design is badass. Holy shit.
It is. It is a really good design. I just if it was matte, it would have been perfect. I knew a Matt once. He wasn't perfect. But it really,
that
truly,
iridescence though, like,
yeah, but that's
I don't know,
not
man.
iridescent though. It's only with this stupid light shining right on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was iridescent.
Yeah, no, I don't get iridescence normally. Just, well, maybe a little bit, maybe. But it's pretty. And reversible, which everybody knows I really like when they're reversible like that. But what I really do twice a day. I'm just kidding. What I really like about it though is the actual imagery. So this is the devil card, so we'll show this one. And remember that these are all different artists, and this is to really give people the inverse meaning. So this image upright should be able to represent, I'm trying to get that glare off of it, what one would get if they were to invert the devil. And you get that much more deeper, darker meaning with this card, right? At least I do. It's not only the chains that bind you in this case, it's you are actually harming yourself and you're creating a situation where you may not be able to survive, even though you're trying to push back. So I love also the pentagram at the bottom. the way that they extended the lines in the specific X manner with the line through it. They just such a neat deck. I can't believe I've never shared this one before either. I was a little surprised at myself for not doing it. This is the High Priestess.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's again different artists, so not every card is all that great. I don't particularly like this one, even though I love the High Priestess, and I know it's hard to see what she's doing there, but she is got two people on the side instead of the traditional pillars that are around the High Priestess, kind of representing that staying between the lines and following the process and manifestation. She's got two people whispering in her ears. It basically like the good angel, the devil on your shoulder kind of thing. And she is eating a heart, an anatomical heart, which is really hard to tell in here. But that's right by my.
I thought
index
she
finger.
just had a box in her hand.
Yeah, it's she's eating a heart. So, and there's blood on her face too. It's just you can't really see it unless you're here, like to really get the card. Probably, I love the High Priestess. Everybody knows that too. But this is not my favorite card. In this deck, the image. We'll do a couple more. The Tower. This is a very beautiful tower to me. And I like that it doesn't have the typical, bombs coming down or lightning strikes or stones.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It almost reads to me, instead of like your traditional tower of, fundamental changes and breakdown of systems, more like you've erected a really beautiful, dark, but fake system, and you're not letting it go, because that's what an inverse tower would be for me. Failure to let the new system take hold and to let boundaries be broken. So you have something that looks pretty, but ultimately is your downfall.
Yep, you've erected something very beautiful.
I erect lots of beautiful things, trust me. Here's a good one.
I could let that one go. I couldn't let it go.
I knew it was happening as soon as I said it. Ace of Cups. So you got a little vampire action here.
That's pretty
cool.
cool.
A little blood. The nose. I don't know what it is about the beast nose that they put on this lady, but it is perfect. And those hands are really great. Is that a leech? That is a leech. Okay, just checking. I didn't realize.
At first, I thought it was just like a cut on the wrist, but okay, yeah.
It's a leech. Anyway, I want to show you one more because this is just really pretty. 4 of Wands. Those are all blue glowing fire skulls.
Cool.
Yeah. So just really cool, really nice imagery. I like it. So we're going to pull some. Let me get a couple of good shuffles in. Like I said,
wait. Does that mean? Does that mean, like, for example, when you go through suits, though, like cups, wands, pentacles, or coins, or whatever, like they're all represented differently? Because you know how, like, in a deck, for example, you just showed like wands being blue skulls, right?
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean like the next, like a different wand card, it's not going to be skulls on shafts?
Yeah, no, it's not. They're all done differently. So you'll, like, in some wands, there's where's the other one that I just saw? Now of course I don't see any wands anywhere. Not that one. The 2 of Wands. There's skulls in this one, and they might have given them some parameters maybe. But it is a very different style.
Okay.
So, and then the 8 of Wands is completely different. It's thorny bushes or something. Thorns, rose thorn stems. Stems, that's the word I was looking for.
There you go. Yeah. Not a fan of bushes.
I can't agree. I hear somebody choking on smoke in the next room.
Oh, that's great.
That'd be Rook in his bud. Let me get a few more in here. And we'll get some energy cards for these. These will be a little bit darker because they are a darker set of cards. Like the purpose is different with these, so I expect to get.
So you want reversals? You don't want uprights?
Yeah, well, that is true. I guess you could say that. I've got my little crystal shrooms up here that I got to move over. But I can pull these
Crystal
cards and let's see
shrooms.
what we get. Shrooms.
Shrooms.
We have our first card, Le Queen de Wands.
I like
So,
that.
yeah, and the Queen of Wands is a little difficult for me as a reversal, meaning the upright in this deck. We might have somebody among us that is being unfaithful, not like in a relationship necessarily, but unfaithful to the cause. If it was unfaithful to the relationship, I'd probably see that more in the cups, but in the wands, this is something, I don't want to say backstabbing, but somebody in our atmosphere is not pulling through the way they should, or we are finding ourselves too quick to react, too quick to respond to things negatively that are in our area, our environment. So I think that the important thing for me with this particular queen, she's got this sunflower, right? And the sunflower is supposed to be the brightness, yet she's in a very dark room, and that sunflower is not illuminating anything. So you've got a symbol of illumination without any real light. So to me, maybe we need to look at who's around us right now, because we have somebody who is not on our side. And this card is actually going to confirm it. The Hermit. A poet and didn't know it. We're going to confirm it with the Hermit. So the Hermit is one of those cards that just, well, A, major arcana, but B is really about that withdrawal, but the withdrawal into the self for growth, right? For needing clarity, for needing to see a picture. So when reversed, it's impulsiveness. It's us failing to take a second and retreat inside. So we have to start paying attention, especially this next week, of what's going on around us, and that we're not reacting in a way that's too quick or too impulsive, or that we are stepping out into the street without looking. We need to pay a little bit more attention to the things that we draw within to ourselves, and listen to our dreams, and listen to our thoughts and our internal monologue and dialogue, for some of us who are a little psycho, to really bring about what it is we're trying to do. So far we've got watch out for somebody in our atmosphere that's not really being faithful or honest with us, and ourselves failing to take the step back and look within, or retreat in order to make a good decision, or moving too fast. And then our third card, oh wow, this one's crazy. Holy crap. That is one hell of a 9 of wands. Good luck making it out on the, the camera here.
All
That
right.
is interesting.
Looks like a Harry Potter orgy.
I know. It kind of does, although I don't know what that would be. So the 9 of wands is, if the way that I kind of, I've talked about this before, tarot for me is a cyclical thing. You get to the 9s and you're kind of ending the group, or the cycle of wands, which is a very fiery, hot. By the time you get to the 9 of wands, you're tired. And in a general aspect, this card is going to really represent that whole defensiveness that we get near the end of something that's been really a big struggle. It's your product. You get defensive of it. But inverted, we're getting more of us getting caught off guard. So this goes along with the rest of the reading. This is telling me that and of course it's a darker deck, but the energy that we're running into is a lot about us paying attention to who and what is going on around us, and muting our reaction, and paying attention to make sure that we aren't overreacting or stepping out in front of something that will ultimately be bad for us. So take an extra minute when you're doing stuff the next week or so, to really see if your reaction is appropriate for what's occurring, and kind of keep an idea out looking too for people that might not be there for your own benefit, or be there to try to push you forward, and kind of into the bus and final destination that's in the street, right? You don't want to step in there, and you don't certainly need anybody to push you in there. And there went your autofocus, just for the record, in case you want to break your camera.
Yeah, autofocus is really starting to piss me off.
But that is the read for the week from the Corrupted Tarot. It's by Wormwood. If you want to look for a copy. I believe the Tarot Merchant is probably the best price that you will see for Wormwood stuff, if they even still sell Wormwood. But that is the tarot for the week.
Isn't wormwood a psychedelic?
Wormwood is the tree that has the psychedelic properties, yes. Or the herbaceous thingy, whatever you want to call it. That thing. Yeah.
We should make wormwood gum.
We
That
have
would be
enough
fun.
people hallucinating without any assistance in general. My foot is falling asleep. Dog, chill, ma petite. My foot is literally pins and needles, honey. He better shut that Britney Spears off.
Somebody's listening to Britney Spears?
Rook.
Oh, Rook. What are we going to do with your Rook? I mean...
Now he's coughing.
Britney Spears...
Everything.
Britney Spears hasn't been hot since... Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Lick my baby back behind. I must... Never mind. That's not appropriate.
Is anything we talk about appropriate?
No.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't believe so at all. So anyway, so one of the things we're kind of avoiding for the shows is topics. I mean, there are topics, but we're both Mystic and I agree that like a semblance of structure is okay, but we don't want to overly structure the podcast. Then it starts to feel like a fucking news program and not a conversation, right?
There are some podcasts that I go to that I really enjoy if they're on a specific topic, and there's some that I go to just kind of listen to get some perspectives. And I'm not interested in a Psychology Today style podcast.
Yeah, neither am I.
Of those.
Yeah, the one thing I've always loved about like the podcasts that I listen to are the ones that just sound like a couple of people just hanging out and talking. You know, like, or at least like even the ones that are more structured, like when they get into a topic and then they just kind of like the conversation just begins to degrade into other shit, right? You know, and it just turns into a conversation, which is one of the reasons why I really like the Joe Rogan experience.
I'm all about degrading.
Right? And same here. Like, I love people giving people shit.
Joe Rogan's guests get on my nerves sometimes, but he's just kind of a genius idiot. So,
I mean, I didn't say I necessarily like the guy, but I like the content. I like how they're just conversations.
Yeah, he's a genius idiot.
You know, he's just hanging out with people, talking to them. You know, I can't say how many times I've listened to his podcast and people have corrected him when he's wrong. He's like, but this happens and that happens. And they're like, no, you're wrong. And then, you know, the third person that nobody ever listens to, the person that looks stuff up on the internet, which we need one of those, by the way.
We need a Jack Fecker.
Yeah, we do. We need whatever the hell you just said.
A Jack Fecker. A Fecker. Yeah. We'll call him the Fecker.
The Fecker. Yeah, we need a Fecker.
We need a Fecker.
So that way we have that third person who just slap shit up on the screen for us.
That would be fun if we had a little ticker where somebody could just write up really stupid, random, half-related stuff. Cheese up! Fecker. Hi.
Fecker.
I forgot what I was going to say. Shit.
I hate it when that happens.
It was good, too. It was important.
I mean, a Christian would tell you it was a lie. Well, I mean, okay, some of the Christians that I know would tell me that. Like, if I forgot what I was going to say. I'm like, it must have been a lie. It's like, no, it's ADHD, motherfucker. Like, get off my back.
It's God helping me prevent from hurting your feelings.
Exactly, right? Like, it's a little divine intervention so you don't cry, curled into the fetal position. So what I did write down for really a topic, but kind of like the idea for what I kind of wanted to talk about and get into.
Mm-hmm.
is invocation, summoning, and possession.
Invocation,
Yes.
not evocation.
Yeah.
Invocation.
Invocation. Yeah. Invocation.
There's a difference, children.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good topic. I forgot what the other
So-
two were. Invocation and what?
So, summoning and possession.
Ah. Invocation is probably the most common version of interaction that I feel I do with deity and spirit.
Okay. And what kind of experiences have you had
Lots.
that you're willing to get into?
Lots. There are some that I'm not willing to get into a lot of detail with, but I will share parts of them. One of the things that I like about invocation, as it was taught to me, is the idea of invoking as not I summon you, which is the summon, which you're seeing Sophie with the I summon thee. Is the summoning to me is just the arising of or the calling of. Invoking is the art of asking for their assistance and participation, depending on your belief system. In some ways, it's do my bidding, right? Because if that's your belief system, I think that that's appropriate, and I think that's common in the occult. Not for me. I believe if I attempt to work with a deity or a spirit and they don't want to, they will certainly make it very clear. As opposed to evoking a spirit, which can be more like antagonizing or being, something a little different.
Yep.
But so I think the most, what's the word? Poignant, or the most not effective. What's the word I'm looking for? The one that had the most effect on me was one of my first real interactions invoking the Green Man, which is what I focus and what I call it for. I don't necessarily call Carnunos or Hern the Hunter or Pan. I just call it the Green Man because it is that archetype that I'm calling to from the universe, and it encompasses all of them. It started with I don't want to say obviously, but commonly as it would in a forest. And the entire purpose was connection. And shedding of personal fears and personal barriers that I created to allowing myself to do things in a way that were beneficial. I don't know how else to say it, because the invocation and the process itself was relatively easy initially, but it took continued work over a long period of time at one session. So for example, the session where I had this invocation and experience was about 4 to 5 hours. I lost track of time. I was not engaged things weren't exact to me during that time. Experience was completely off the time radar, whatever you call that. And I left or ended that experience with a lot less personal, what's the word? I lost my fear of public speaking with this exercise. I lost my embarrassment of being naked in public, of not being in good shape, for example, to go in the pool and take my shirt off. I don't care about that stuff after this engagement. Like, that's some of the things that it changed. I became less self-concerned about the visual of myself and accepted myself as a true part of the Green Man's archetype. And that was an experience of invocation where I left it a completely different person. And that was probably 2002, maybe? I've had other similar experiences since then, but after that first pivotal one, they changed. They're different, right? They're much more controlled because you've lost and shed some of those things that held you back before. And I think that is a really interesting experience, an important experience. I think a lot of occultists and witches and pagans get into and feel at some point. It's the acceptance of yourself as a being of the universe kind of thing. And then subsequent invocations of the Green Man got much deeper and much like I was open to it then. I was allowed myself to do it and to be engaged and involved and understand. It's really that was when I really accepted that being pagan was an okay thing for me. But it was that initial invocation, the ritual that I didn't even know I was writing in my head, but putting the process together. And I'm telling you, like, I had no clue where it was going to go. I only knew how I wanted to start. And once I got it going, it just took on by itself. It just rolled and rolled and rolled, and then it ended when it was supposed to end, the way it was supposed to end. I didn't have any, I don't want to say I didn't have control over it, but I didn't have to do anything to make it happen. It went the way it was supposed to, and that was probably the most meaningful interaction I've had initially. Probably because, again, I mean, I was 19, I think, when that was, so it's about right, like 18 or 19, and life changing. And then I kind of fell out of it a little bit, and then subsequent again coming back into it after some other things in my life occurred. It changed it, but that's the whole experience, right? The actual invocation itself, what I found was traditional rituals and processes, high magic in some ways, is very, I think, important initially. And we've talked about this before because it helps you set the mindset that allows those things to happen. And for me, once I've done a couple of those where I've followed somebody else's traditional process of, I do the fourfold breath, I do the grounding, I do the balancing and all that stuff, and then I go into the self-guided imagery and meditation and think through the process, and then I go into the invocation and the candle lighting and whatever it is you do, whatever offerings you give, all that stuff is extremely important to me in the beginning because it gets your mind in that place. Now I don't need any of that to get an invocation going for the deities and spirits that I've worked with in history. If I were to work with a new one, which I have periodically done, I go to a book. I ask people, what's your experience with what's her name, Caradwin? That was somebody I was interested in seeing because Caradwin is one of the triples. Important, and the stories around Caradwin I think are great, and that whole Welsh and all that pantheon. So I had to learn a whole new style of invocation for that particular deity spirit, and that's a different process. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. It gets you going. Again, the second, third one, you start doing things a little bit different. But I know that's a big topic of invocation is you should do it the way it's been done for 200 years. And some people say you have to, some people say you can't. I say both are true. Things that are repeatable over long periods of time are effective, right? That's why they're written down, because other people have used them. They're effective. They wrote them down again, and that's how they've survived. But not always. Not a you have to. It's both for me. And then I have a couple of other experiences I'll share later. But before I do, I'll let. Are you muted? Okay, so you are muted. I think y'all can still hear me, but I don't know if you can hear him. Yeah, no Adius soundings. Thanks to Sad World. I actually can still hear myself too because Rook has it so loud on the TV that he's watching us on. It is all over the place. But Adius is still broken. It is. We need to give an offering to the gremlins. That's a whole nother topic. What was I gonna say now? Oh, Adius. I was gonna let him talk, but you know what? Now I'll just keep going. So until he can figure his shit out, just interrupt when you figure it out. The other experience that I had that I was going to wait to share, but I'll go ahead and share it, is really cool. And it was a invocation to Hecate, or for Hecate. Never worked with this spirit or energy before. And I got met with a no, not right now. That is a negative, sir. This is not for you at the moment. And, that happens. It was actually when we were doing some online Wicca school thing, and I was working with that with Hecate, and I still got some, like, there's energy available in that experience, but that was it. It was at the end. I was like, yeah, this is not the time for this. You're not in the right place for this. So that was a no go. But yes, I do think at the same time, I think we have pantomime now. We just do charade. Oh, we should do charades. But we'll never know if we're actually right. I have not done enough work with Hecate at all, and this was a couple of years ago, so I probably could try again and see, but it wasn't the right time. Instead, what I ended up doing, there you
Can
go.
you hear me now? Dude, I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, so my mute button on my Stream Deck wasn't working. So I was like, all right, I'll switch. I got to go in and I got to switch the source to mute it. And it says mic in Elgato Wave XLR. It's like, all right. So I clicked on that because I kind of cleared my throat, and I realized that when I tried to mute to clear my throat, it didn't. And I cleared my throat in everybody's fucking ear. And so I clicked the microphone button, like I changed it, it worked. But then when I unmuted it, it wouldn't unmute the fucking thing. Like, that is so weird because Stream Deck should not affect the fucking system like that.
No.
That is weird. All right. Unmuted. Okay, we're good. We're good. Jesus Christ. Oh. All right. So
you'd be all right.
What I was saying is that I was impressed on the role that Mystic was on. He doesn't talk much, but I do like it when he goes, like, he just dives into shit. I do enjoy it greatly.
It was a very important interaction.
Right, unexplained possibilities. How's it going?
It was a formulated one, and hi, unexplained. Yeah, it was a formulated. I didn't mean that. It was a formative. That's what I was looking for. Mm-hmm. Experience.
So, I got to ask you a question because there's something. I did a video on Wednesday about ritual work. I don't know if you watched it or not.
Part of it.
Part of it. Okay. Mm-hmm. You should watch the whole thing. What the fuck?
I should. I worked, Yeah.
I did too. That's why I came in late. It wasn't early in the day.
That's better than coming in early.
I guess this is true, right? So one of the things that, understandably, this is my opinion and through my experience, right? I'm a skeptical son of a bitch, right? I always try to logic things away, and then when I can't logic it away, it's like, all right, there's something else here that I can't explain, right? Because I think that's how, like, mass hysteria happens, when people don't take the time and effort to try to look at things logically before they jump the gun and, get into shit like, oh my God, it's a ghost, or oh my God, it's a demon, or it's like that. That's how kids have died at the hands of exorcists that wouldn't give them fucking food and shit when they weren't possessed and they just needed, like, medical assistance, So, and I'm not saying, possession doesn't happen. I totally believe in it. But I think that there have been quite a few cases where children have, or children and people have perished at the hands of, men of the cloth for not wanting to look into the logical aspects of things prior to opening up their Bibles and tying a person to a fucking bed.
I prefer men without cloth.
I'm sure you do. Sure you do, or at least men you
But
can see through the cloth.
that is their see-through cloth is good too. But I mean, that is a really good point. I can't imagine how many people had like tremors. Well, hell, delirium, hysteria, all those things. Let's not even get started on that. It's a whole nother topic.
You know, so I generally try to take the logical, side of things. And so for me, in my experience, right, when it came to ritual work, things didn't work for me in the sense that immediately, not a whole lot, but Adius and Mystic put on a great show, and it is an
That's
outlet
nice
that, right? I as well as all of us are very grateful and thankful for looking forward to many more shows. DA, thank you very much for that $10 super chat. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. So for me, like, ritual work took more work, right? Like, so one of the things that I talk about in the video is essentially believing in yourself before you start to believe in something else. Now, I know that religiously speaking, a lot of people like to say that you need to believe in something greater than yourself in order to believe in yourself, but I think that that's a crock of shit. That's just me personally, right? I think just like loving somebody, you can't love someone, like truly, truly love someone if you don't love yourself, which is something I do believe. Like, if you don't have some type of caring or loving for yourself, the love that you share with another person isn't love for them, but love for how they make you feel. Go ahead.
I'm just and not. I don't want you to lose the train of thought because I want to hear the rest of it. But I just want to throw out, and this might even be where you're going. One of the things about that, I do agree with you. It's really, it is. The phrase, RuPaul says a lot. How the hell can you love somebody else if you don't love yourself, right? And we talk about this, and it's the same, I think, with the topic you're heading on. But I do think it's really important for people to realize that you don't have, like, it's not 100%, 0%, right? Like, I don't ever 100% love myself all the time. And sometimes when I am using ritual work and connecting to whether it's music is usually what it is. So there are certain times when I hear a certain thing and I just lose my shit and, like, this is what God feels like. And those moments are not, finding something bigger than me first. It is me using that as a venue to finding myself as part of the world. If that makes any sense. It's kind of like you
it
use
does.
that as a conduit. So that it's kind of like the rain stick, right? It goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
So yeah, I mean, it that is essentially kind of like where I was headed with that idea. Like, I mean, I don't think you can ever fully, like, love yourself all the time. Like, I think there's going to be moments where you think, dude, I'm fucking great. I'm fucking awesome. And then there's going to be other times you're like, dude, I'm a piece of shit. And I think that those fluctuations are, like, normal. And I think that there's times where you're going to be in the middle, right? Or you're not even going to be fucking thinking about it. And let's make something abundantly clear. At least this is my opinion, unless see if Mystic agrees. I do agree with the statement that you can't love someone else until you love yourself. But even if you don't love yourself, it doesn't mean that you are physically incapable of actually loving another human being, right? Like, you are going to be able to love someone else, but I feel like what that means is you can't give someone, like, the full amount of your love if you're not, if you're not taking care of yourself. And, like, to love oneself is I mean, I think that that's what it is. It's to take care of you, right? To think that you are important, right? For yourself, that you are important for yourself. You're mentally, physically, emotionally, right? That you are important for you. That you don't need someone else to say that you're important, to feel that you're important. That you have that understanding that I am important for me, right? That's That's what I think where that's going. And again, that comes on a spectrum, and there's good days and bad days, and just days that don't really register, right? Like neither good or bad. Right. So, but I think if you're like the type of person that you're really down on yourself, right? And you feel sorry for yourself all the time, you know, there's only so much another person can do for you if you're constantly looking for someone else to validate you and you're not validating yourself. Nobody, I don't think anyone wants to live their life with another person constantly validating them and then making them feel better about themselves. So there's that part of it. But anyway, when it goes into the ritual parts of shit and belief, I'm not saying you need to believe in a god or something like that before you start doing a ritual work. It's kind of crazy. We kind of start to believe after we see or experience something, right? But the one thing that I think that a lot of people miss is the belief that you can actually create that connection, right? At least a little bit, right? Because if you go into something not believing that you can create that connection and begin that communique, then you already failed before you go into it, because you don't believe in it. You don't have an inkling that this can happen, right? And I think a lot of times we overshoot the line when it comes to trying to create those conversations, those connections. Is we are so desperate to believe that we go into something trying to see something without even an inkling that we're able to actually do it. And that's the key thing. It's not to say that you don't believe that the entity is real, or that you don't believe that the deity is real, or that you don't think that people can't that people can do it. But you don't fully believe or have that connection to yourself to create that connection. Mystic is sighing.
No, I was scratching my arm.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
Bullshit. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I was waiting for it.
No. I mean, it makes sense. I think it definitely makes sense what you're saying. And the way that I can explain it, I think a little same thing again, but different way, is I do believe in as above, so below. I think that is one of the ultimate truths in life. And once we obtain and observe that, it makes things so much clearer to me. May not for other people, I get it. But if I use that as my framework, as above, so below, as within, so without, meaning that the universe really is all one thing mimicking itself on the same line, then it makes sense that if I don't have enough belief that I am good enough, I am loved, I am, and I hate enough, good enough. I hate even I even said that. That is one of the worst phrases that was ever created. But that I am capable, that I am good, that I am, that I can do this thing or whatever it is I'm doing. It's hard to get to the as above part if you're the below, or to get to the below part if you're the above, or get to the as within, so without. You can't get to the without the within, right? So that's the invocation process of being confident enough and understanding enough of what it is you're looking for to create and find what it is you're looking for in a spirit or a deity or whatever it is you're invoking. And I think that is kind of the same idea, just in a different format, right? It's it's not just if you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. It's it's namaste. My soul can't recognize yours if it can't be a soul to recognize yours. It's the three in tarot. It's if I exist, but I don't know that I exist, then I can't access that. But I have to know that I exist first. I have to be aware of myself, which is the two, before I can add that other piece into it. And I think that is very important in invocation. I know I had the same trouble in the beginning. It's like, oh my God, I went to invoke Green Man and nothing fucking happened. Well, that's because I was looking for a green man. That's not how this works, you know? And I think
Right.
that's a big part of why a lot of people feel like they fail or don't do it, because they're just expecting this mass, like the earth to shake and the chasm to open up and God to appear before you. And I'm like, he didn't appear that way to anybody in the Bible that it's the burning bush. Like, okay, they were drunk. Seriously. Um, but that's the whole idea behind it. It's once you are working on knowing yourself, each level that you go within, you are able to then, to me, reach that level outside of yourself. So that's again why my experience with the Green Man, who ultimately to me was Kernunos, because that's who I had been working with and still do, um, is manifested differently now than before, completely different. And that's because as
Yep.
I grew within, so did without.
Yep. No, I mean that's exactly what I'm laying down. Definitely said differently, but I mean it's the same premise. Um, and another thing that I kind of get into in the video again, understand something when you're watching my videos. I can only speak from my own experience. I cannot speak towards the experience of other people. And I am the type of person, unlike Mystic, that I'm not going to try to. Right? Which is one of the most vital reasons why Mystic is here. Because
Wait,
where I
what I
come
missed?
across as an
No.
asshole, Mystic makes everybody else feel better. So, I am unfortunately, I'm beginning to notice, incapable of attempting to cater my voice to other people that might not fit into what it is that I'm talking about. And it's something that I really have to own, because I've tried very hard, and I think Mystic has noticed this. I've tried very hard to be more kind of encompassing in the way that I talk about things, but it always makes me feel like an idiot when I do. Right? Because for me, there are things that I think should just be assumed. And Mystic is very much the thing is that, well, nothing should be assumed.
Well, I mean, things can only be assumed from your perspective. So if you're not
True.
able to, that's empathy. You have to have empathy for somebody else's potential to experience something in a different way. Or we're just talking to the echo chamber.
True. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. That's that's like one of the biggest things. The reason why, you're the co-host is because,
Yeah, but you don't give yourself enough credit for that either. It's not catering to other people. It is um, allowing comparative perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you've ever, like, from my perspective, I've never seen you cater, or myself either, cater to somebody else's idea. We can talk about the mystic bitch. I mean, which anytime we want to, about catering. Ugh. Anyway, um, but it's not really about that, right? It's really about if you're doing something related to the occult and towards unity and bringing people together. Because I can tell you, Little Tree Sap, Paranormal Witch, A Sad World, Da, Sophie, Aaron Page, everybody that I just saw just in this chat box here believes very much some of the things we talk about very similarly, but not exactly, and some things very
Exactly.
differently, and always will. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
beauty of it. That's why we need to get all of them on the show at some point. I don't know why they won't. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, some people like to be viewers and kind of just take in the different ideas, and some people like sharing their ideas. And it's
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of what it is. I mean, and so like the one of the things that I kind of get into with the video from Wednesday is, again, from my perspective, I do believe that people will kind of overshoot the line a little bit and don't give themselves a healthy opportunity to do this. I do believe I am. So I think that there are different types of people in the left-hand path, and we need all different types of people. But generally speaking, it can kind of be broken up into kind of two categories: people that believe that these entities exist. They're real. You can communicate with them. They're intelligent. They're there beyond the veil. And then others that believe that they're representative, right? That they're, not actual entities, but, representations of different aspects of yourself. Which at the end of the day, whichever side of the left-hand path you're rocking on, the right-hand side of the left-hand path or the left-hand side of the left-hand path, whichever side you're rocking on, you're essentially going after the same thing, right? And actually, I don't think it matters what path you're on, right, left, middle, center, whatever the fuck. We're all trying to go for that same thing. We're all trying to have an understanding of something that is, for all intents and purposes, beyond us. And, we're just doing it in different ways. And, the path might be different, but I think the destination is pretty much the same. 6 feet underground, right? That's the destination. That's where you're headed. Good voyage. Oh, God, that's an ugly dog.
Accidentally human.
But I am one of the people that believe that these entities and these intelligences are real. Okay, I do believe that they can be reached, they can be communicated with, they can be used, they can be collaborated with. And yes, I do believe some of them will allow themselves to be used as tools. For what reason, I have no idea, but I do believe that some of them, are all for it, right? So if you're looking for a tool to play with, there you go. But I think we need to give ourselves enough of an opportunity to actually dig into that, right? And for me, because of my skepticism, I learned that I needed to reach a different level of myself. And believe it or not, a lot of that came through meditation. Now, I don't subscribe to the traditional idea of meditation. I can't do it. I cannot sit in silence, even with the idea that it says just sit there and let the thoughts come in and then let them leave. They never fucking leave, right? They're not passing thoughts. They come in and they invade completely, okay? And they don't go away. Right, they mutate, they change, and then another idea comes in, and it's as it's mutating into something else, and the other one comes back. So what helps me with meditation is I do use incense and music or chants, specifically chants. Chants really do for me help me, because it gives my mind something to focus on while I'm trying to focus on the point. Right, I can't do the traditional type of meditation. And to some people, the type of meditation that I do isn't even meditation because it breaks all the traditional rules of what meditation is supposed to be. I'm sorry. I don't know fucking yoga. So I do it how I do it, right? I kneel in front of my altar. I have my chants going in the background. I have the incense burning. I have the candles going. The candles give my eyes a visual cue to focus on. The music gives my ears an audible cue to go off of. I'm trying to occupy as many of my senses as humanly possible while my mind focuses on the intention, right? And for me, that works because that's what I'm doing, right? I need to occupy my senses in order for my intention to focus. If it doesn't, everything else comes in, right? Yay, ADHD. Right? And so, one second. All right. So, for me, I think using that, form of meditation and allowing myself to kind of dig into myself and find my own power, really help me understand my ability to channel something else's power, right? Because I don't just look at it as using an entity as focusing my ideas into a ritual, but I'm combining the power of that entity with my own, and then refocusing it into my intention. And so, and again, there are some people that think that it's just, a tool to focus, right? It represents what you're trying to focus on, what you're trying to do, right? So yeah, that is, sorry, I'm just getting bombarded with messages from different people right now, and it's kind of distracting. So I'm losing my train of thought, right? Because people are people. But hopefully I was clear in what I was trying to explain. What do you think, Mystic? Was I?
No.
Seriously?
No, I don't know. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we've talked about that topic quite a few times, in different ways. It's the same thing for me. Like I believe that the entities and deities that we reach out to are absolutely real, and they are veins of energy that we can actually work with. I don't believe that they look and or act the way that we think they do as humans. I think we give them that perspective so that we can communicate with them in a way that makes sense to us, because humans don't like to do things that don't at least have some type of form similar to us, right? So Hecate looks like a woman. Carnunos looks like a man and an animal. If we were to meet Carnunos in real life, I don't think that's what he would look like, at all. I do, again, and it gets confused sometimes. It's not that I believe Caradwin is not real or an approachable or attainable, talkable, invocable, workable deity. I just don't think she's in the sky with her little, her womb pot, stirring the pot all the time, just because that's one of the stories that are in it. I think that really lends to people that don't believe in entities that are who they are, and they believe in the energy veins, or that it is just an energy or way to focus. I honestly think it's the same thing for them. It's just their way of perceiving it. Because in the end, none of it is going to matter except what actually is. And I think what actually is really comes from us. Again, if we go back to as above, so below, as within, so without. So it really puts it into perspective for me when I work with Carnunos or Green Man or any of the deities that I've worked with, Dionysus. They don't always look the same. They don't always have the same shape or the same response. But they're always in the same vein of energy, and they're always in the same vein of connection for me, and they're traditional. So, real, yes. Invocable, work withable, can't think the right word. Same thing for demons. I think those things, they're not, if I called to a demon, which I have never done, and I might do one day, maybe soon, I am not expecting the demon to look like what is on the last book I read. But I might expect that traditional descriptions would be relatively accurate based on what other people have experienced, right? So reality and being real, yes, absolutely. And I think process of invoking and what works for each person is very different. Possession is not something that I've ever experienced, so that I don't have any input on. But truly, I think we're all talking about the same thing in the end. We're
exactly.
just putting things in ways that our brains can use the symbols that they speak in, much like Jung's symbols, in order to make sense of that which we cannot understand wholly. Not Holy, Wholly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought my mic wasn't working again because I was talking and then I didn't see the thing light up green. I was like, fuck, it broke again. But no, it's okay. No, I agree. And I take a little bit of a different perspective. I think that there is an aspect biblically that kind of makes sense, that I don't think is a biblical concept. I think it was just added in, where the divine or the infernal are in such a form that perhaps our minds can't comprehend them. So when they do present themselves to us, they present themselves to us in a manner to which our minds can understand and fathom and gather and
Yeah,
use
or else
and
we would
retain.
probably explode.
Exactly. And so I think throughout the centuries, for everyone that's worked in magic, the names have changed and the images have morphed slightly for the time. But, it's how they want to be presented. It's how they want to be seen, right? It's how they want to be understood. They present to us in a way that we can understand, and inside of that, concept, how they want to be perceived. It's not like, an invisible man floating around in fucking clouds with a giant white beard that looks somewhat like Santa Claus, watching everybody doing what they, of every second of every fucking day. It's not like that. The divine and the infernal, need to present themselves in such a way that we can fathom. And that is exactly what happens when we begin to work with, these entities, and they do present themselves to us. They have to in such a way that we can understand, which is why I think there are such varying different accounts of how these things look or act, when called upon.
I
I
think
do
God has
believe that
horns.
possibly. I think if we're talking Bible, I think God is the bad guy. I think I honestly believe with every fiber of my being that God, the God in the Bible, is the actual bad guy, and Satan, the devil, Lucifer,
See, I
is
think
the
I
actual good
think
guy.
man is the bad guy. Man is the bad guy, and God and the devil are both good guys, but we couldn't stand that two people could get along with differing opinions and different ways of managing things. So we put them against themselves because we're stupid ass animals.
I think I don't think have I seen Baphomet in any way. I've seen Baphomet as Baphomet is presented. Now, I mean, talking about it makes me feel kind of crazy. But I have seen
Of all things,
Baphomet.
that's what makes you feel crazy.
I know, right? It's like, fuck. But I have seen Baphomet. Like, I do believe fully that I've seen Baphomet. And at multiple occasions, in dreams and in waking reality. Not so much so as, I see real people in front of me, but I have seen Baphomet. And
I don't know why that make you feel crazy. I've seen multiples, like literally.
there you go. Mark 5, right on time. Right on time.
Something tells me he's been lurking for the conversation.
Right? Exactly.
Ah,
But
welcome in.
I do believe that these entities and these intelligences are 100% real. I believe when we do a ritual, when we do an invocation, when we do a summoning, even when we ask for a possession, we're just dialing a phone number. The only thing we can do is hope that the phone number we're dialing is the right one.
8675309. Not that one?
Probably
Maybe
not.
not.
So, hey, Mark, you're always welcome, man. You're respectful with your opinions, and they're different from most other people in the chat. So it's good to see. It's good to see. That we don't
But
scare
are
you
they
off.
really?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
They're not that
Even
different.
Mark said, like, the last show. One of the things that Mark said, I think for me was like one of the most important things that could be said is that the question isn't is or shouldn't be if they're real or not, but whether or not we benefit from the interaction. And I think that was a very important thing to be said, because there are some people out there that are dabbling in this shit, trying to summon shit that they don't know what the fuck they're summoning and don't know what they're going to be getting out of it, just because they want to
Yeah.
see something.
And when people do that, I think it's very interesting. They're going to eventually either get nothing, and they're going to lose out significantly because they're not doing it in a way that makes sense, or they're going to get something in which they hadn't.
Exactly.
Probably the
It's one of the
former more
two.
likely, but
Yep.
that's the saddest thing to me when we talk about the occult and paganism and we talk about invoking and all this stuff, and people blow it off like, that's just stupid, it's hocus pocus. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a pretty intelligent person. I know how to tell logic, and yes, there is some cognitive dissonance for me when I say it. Like you said earlier, it makes you feel silly. Yeah, it does, because there's not a logic response to some of the things we say, but to understand that some things don't have a logic response is the only logical response, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
I've always found interesting, because people just, if you don't believe it or see it, it can't exist. I'm like, but oh my God, all of the things that we have proven differently just because we gave it enough time to figure it out.
Exactly.
So
Well, I mean, the simplest way, like I like to break that down, like it's an oversimplification.
very
This is
much.
a definite.
Mhm.
This is going to be an oversimplification, but the way that I like to break it down for people is that, go into your kitchen, you see your stove, you see your sink, you know that it's there, right? You can see it. All right, now go into your bedroom and close the door. Can you still see the
Object
stove? Can you
permanence.
still see the sink? Right? Like, I mean, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't hear it. None of your senses are, working in your favor to say that it's real, but you know that it's there,
But is it
right?
really?
Exactly. Right. I mean, it's a definite oversimplification of what we're talking about, but generally speaking, it gets the point across. Just because you can't see, touch, or hear something doesn't not necessarily mean that it's not real or doesn't exist on some level.
I mean, it literally means the exact opposite. Well, even if you really think about it, even what we sense is not truly real. It is just a representation through our sense of what it is, because other things, other entities, animals, even on this plane, experience that same thing completely differently. There's a really good video on YouTube. I wish I could remember what it's called, but I think I'll look it up and see if I can post it in the chat. But have you, everybody talks about how dogs see, but have you ever thought about how dogs perceive us? And there are studies about how other animals, dogs, insects, and things perceive us, and the frame rate, or the critical blink factor, I think is what it's called, um, expresses their ability to perceive us. And when they do, they perceive us completely differently. The times are different, the sounds are different. We only can perceive through what we are aware of that we can perceive through. The easiest things to perceive through are our physical senses, what we
Mm-hmm.
smell, hear, taste, sight, see, all of those things. But there are so many more senses that we do have that we just don't utilize or don't know how to utilize yet. It's why I
Mm-hmm.
believe fully in psychics. I do think there's lots of frauds because human beings suck. I do
Yep.
think everybody has the ability to be psychic, though, if they develop
Same.
and learn how to use that sense.
Same.
It's like anything else. And so I really like the idea of understanding that it's so easy to limit to our senses, because that's what we see logic as, but logically that can't be the only
Well,
thing that's
just
there.
a simple thing with sight. So one of the things that, like, I can't remember where I had read it, but the way that we perceive things through our vision isn't actually how things are.
It's upside
That
down.
it's upside down. Everything in front of you is upside down and reversed, but your eyes perceive it differently because of the lens that's in your eye. So it flips the image, and then when your brain picks it up and processes it, it looks the way that it does in front of you. So your mind is lying to you all the time. So to sit there and say that you can only rely on things that you can see, well, That's not true because your sight is lying to you every day and every minute of every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
As I say, it's like this study in that same video. There's a study on what is the critical blink factor for elephants. And it is such that it is based upon what you eat and what eats you. And so, because elephants have no natural predators, and they're mostly herbivores, but it's important for them to know when a storm comes, for example. Their perception and how they see is based on a different perceptive frame rate that is, when compared to humans, makes time seem like it's going slow. So they are very much more likely to identify which trees are growing the best and when a storm is really rolling in. And that's why they're able to protect themselves to a degree that we can't. And that is all perception based.
Yep.
Very neat study. Like there's actual like true peer reviewed studies on that stuff. And people are like, that's hooey. I'm like, okay, you can't say that science is science and we have cell phones now. And that something is hooey because science is science. You know, these are things that we're testing, and we're going to learn more stuff anyway. But
exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think that is a good point to end it at. No after show tonight, guys. At least on my end of things, I got some stuff I got to take care of as soon as we end.
I'm going to bed because I am making my husband get up super early to go on a motorcycle ride tomorrow because we didn't tonight.
Oh, there you go. So, all of you
better be fucking asleep.
In the webverse there, thank you very much for showing up. Thank you for the super chats. You guys are fucking amazing. And as always, hail thy fucking self. We'll see you next time.
Deuces.
Fuck out.